What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Butler. If you're watching this video, you probably already know who I am. Um, but I don't know. I've been going through a lot in my life recently. Um, Currently going through a lot of changes, and I. I mean, first of all, I just want to talk about them for my own sake and just kind of get it out. But I also feel like other people could benefit from the things that I've learned in um, the past year, pretty much. Um, so basically, like, background on what's been going on in my life. About 8 months ago, beginning of July, so yeah, that's about right. I moved into the Southtown studio, which is the studio section affiliated with like the Black Sheep Cafe and that whole scene. And I was at a point in my life where I was getting ready to travel and just like get going, see a bunch of stuff. I had money saved up, I was ready for it, and I was about to just go, man. And then I was presented the opportunity to rent out the studio space that had been renovated. And, you know, how could I pass that up, you know? I've always been into recording, you know, helping other people get their sound, helping people produce their music. You know, it's just something that comes naturally to me personally, and I enjoyed it. So I decided to go ahead and move into the studio, and I realized pretty quickly that I was not personally prepared to live in my own space, really. I really didn't have enough money. That was pretty much it. I didn't have enough money. But basically, like, all you need to know about me personally to get like what I work towards is that I know that I've made it. Like, my definition of making it for me is to be able to support myself entirely through playing music. And I couldn't do that at the studio. My rent was too much. My electric bill was too much. Because there's no built-in air conditioner. I was running like a window unit the whole time. And, you know, I had been living at my parents' house for 19 years. And I just didn't quite know what I was doing yet. But I moved into that place, had some great memories, met some great people. But after about 3 months, I was pretty much out of money. I despised the idea of having, you know, a regular job. But I was working at Tilly's at the mall. And from the perspective of a younger me, if I was looking at that and like saw everything that I had in my hands at that point, I mean, regardless of like how I was gonna get through the next month, at the same time, I had a studio space. I had a space that was my own, and I could do whatever I want there, and nobody could tell me differently. You know, I had fair amount of great music equipment that I've acquired over the years. I used to have a job selling glasses, and it was a pretty nice job. You know, I made a fair bit of money, and I saved a lot of it. But most of that was squandered through my poor financial skills of living on my own. So I ran out of money, and I decided that I was going to move out of that space. So I was offered the opportunity to live with some of my friends here in town in Springfield, as opposed to going back to my parents' house. And the rent that I was offered was quite a bit cheaper than what I was paying at the studio. And I saw that, and I thought, hey, maybe I could support myself here. Maybe this is a better starting point for me to try and make it. By, playing cover shows. I play in a couple bands, just playing drums. And, we get paid at the end of the night. We play 3-4 hour shows in bars and stuff like that. And granted, it's cover stuff. It's not the most fun, but at the end of the day, I'm practicing my chops on drums. I'm playing with people. I'm playing longer and harder than most people in this town. Just playing drums, which isn't even my main instrument. So, I really don't mind that. Some people scoff at the idea of playing cover music, but hey man, I'd rather make $100 playing music than sitting in a retail store all night. But that's just me, But anyways, I moved in here, and I was still struggling to make it month to month. I ended up selling a lot of my personal belongings, a lot of my music equipment, guitars, amps, keyboards, pedals, microphones, stuff that I had acquired over this period of time. I was just selling to make it by every month, because I was so attached to this idea of, I'm making it right now because I don't have a job in, anything other than music. I mean, I guess I would consider playing music my job, but, that makes it sound like it's anything less than an absolute blast for me every time I get on a stage. So it's not a job. It's my passion that, just comes with money sometimes. And I would make enough to get by, but then of course, every month there's going to be something that's going to pop up, and I'm living month to month. How am I going to pay for this? So I'm going to sell this piece of equipment to pay this bill or pay this registration fee, or just anything. I'm sure you get it. And the interesting thing is, well, I guess the last thing I'll mention is I'm moving out of this house in 3 days, because I'm kind of at the end of the road with trying to make it in Springfield. And I don't know. The interesting is, I probably sound a little down or sad about it, but it's also just late in my house, so I don't want to shout or anything. I have 4 roommates, so yeah. But to be quite honest, I'm happier than I've ever been. I have a beautiful girlfriend, Perry. If you're watching this, I love you. She makes me happy, and the main thing that I realized is that what I need to do every day to make me happy is to play music. And I count myself so lucky to realize that I know what makes me happy, in this life. There's no secrets at this point for what I should be putting 100% of my effort into. There's no question for me, because I'll sit down and I'll play my guitar for 4 or 5 hours straight, and my fingers don't even hurt anymore. They don't. I've spent so much time practicing that at this point, I can close my eyes while I'm playing the song, and my fingers in my mind have this muscle memory worked into them that it's nothing but feeling at that point. I'm not thinking about where my fingers are going. That I'm past that. It's feeling. And the interesting thing is, like I said earlier, I used to have a nice job. I mean, I was still living in my parents' house at the time, granted, but it was still a nice job, I put on my nice dress shirt every morning, my slacks, and I'd go in and do my work, talk to customers, and get paid. And it was the right thing for me to be doing at the time. But truly, I was horribly depressed, because I would come home and I didn't have the energy to do what made me happy. I didn't. I mean, sure, I had the energy to pick up my instruments and play what I knew, but my mental energy was being spent somewhere else, somewhere that didn't have any pertinence to what I'm trying to do at all, other than the fact that it's going to give me the paper that runs all of our lives. And I contrast those moments of feeling hopeless because I knew that I was going to get up tomorrow morning and I'm going to walk into this place that I hate, to please the idea that other people have that you have to have a job to be considered a good person, almost. But in reality, when I contrast those moments of deep sorrow and sadness because I knew that I had to spend this next 8 hours trapped here, versus right now, when I'm sitting in this room with $20 in my pocket and an acoustic guitar next to me, I feel so much happier right now, because I don't need anything else. I had all those nice things that I thought were the key to making me happy, and I thought if I would keep getting nicer things and keep acquiring more things that were alluring to my eye, that I would become happy. But that's the ultimate game that they're trying to play on us, is that you need to make more money so you can get these things so that you'll be happy. And at the end of the day, when you have these things, by that time you're 55 and you're going to have this great retirement fund saved up, and you'll retire, and then you can enjoy your life with all the nice things that you got. But that's not going to happen for the vast majority of us. Our economy is so messed up. People can hardly retire now. How do you think it's going to be in 60 years if the whole world hasn't broken out in war by then? Honestly, what else are we going to expect? Am I going to sit here and convince myself to earn enough money to feel safe in a world that I could die tomorrow in. I can't feel comfortable or happy with myself if I'm working towards security. I see a lot of people around me that I feel like maybe struggle with the same thing but don't quite realize it. But, you know, I can't assume that for anybody else. But I don't know. It's almost like a podcast. I kind of like it. I've never really done this before. If you're watching this far, thank you, I guess, for listening to me speak. But and you know, like, on the other hand, I also understand that not everyone is an artist, and you know, a lot of people are you know, lifestyles work differently for everybody else. You know, for some people, going to college, getting the accounting degree, and lining up a nice job, getting the house, that's the way you want it. That's what you're working towards, and I, you know, completely understand that. Some people maybe never had any form of security to begin with, for different reasons, so they feel as though, like, since they never had that, that's what they need to work towards, and I could definitely understand that. But on the same hand, you know, for me, I just can't be happy unless I'm doing what I love every day. And if that means that I'm sleeping in my van on the side of a street, and I'm gonna cook up some rice and beans in the morning to not be hungry, and then go find a busy street with a lot of people and start playing guitar and see if I can make some money that way. I have in the past. Even in Springfield, you know, I've made a few bucks for not very much time. And I feel as though at this point that I'm ready for that. I practice enough that I can just sit out there and play for however long. And I'll just keep going. And my ultimate goal is to play for as many people as possible. And, you know, currently I don't see any large prospects of taking off and playing huge shows that can seat, you know, 1,000 people anytime soon. So I'll just play on the streets that have thousands of people on them. And if that's what I have to do for however long, then that's what I'm going to do. Because I know I'm going to be happier doing that in the end of the day than I am working a job that I hate when I don't have the energy to move forward in what actually matters to me in my heart. Why would I want to buy a house? That's all I've ever heard since I'm growing up. The housing market is trash. Why would you buy a house right now? When is that gonna change, you know? It's not gonna change, man. house prices are just going to keep going up and up and up and up and up and up. So maybe I should just learn how to be okay with struggling for my art sooner than later. Because at some point, something's, even if I've got some cushy job, not even cushy, but you know, like, just something's always going to knock you off that pedestal. Something's always going to come along. You know, I'm not going to college. I'm not getting a degree. There's nothing safe for me at this point. There's nothing safe about living life, period. There's only the illusion that there is. You can trick yourself into thinking that everything is okay because just nothing crazy is happening right now. But, you know, tomorrow, anything could happen. Right now, anything could happen. That could just change your entire world. And at that point, everything that you hold in your hands has no value as far as getting you to tomorrow. You know? I've been getting rid of a lot of my things. And I want to get to the point that I just have, you know, a backpack with, you know, my computer, some microphones, cables, you know, all the music gear, and maybe a camera. You know, just like a production bag, so to speak. Have another backpack with clothing, toiletries, you know, just everyday use items that aren't pertaining to music. And then also another case with a guitar in it, and a portable amp, a bed in the back of my van. I mean, if I can train myself to be okay with that, with so little around me, yet the ultimate freedom to do what makes me happy with my day, then how could it not go up from there? Do you know what I mean? You know, all it would take is for the one right person to come along on the street while I'm playing and think, hey, man, he's good. You know, you can tell he's been spending a lot of time working on this material, and it's second nature at this point. You know, I mean, I've seen a lot of great performers, but I mean, ego aside, I look around and I know that I'm different. I'm willing to give up everything for this. I'm willing to give up my security for this. And at this point, you know, what else do I have to lose? When you have so little, what else do you have to lose? When you have everything, that's how much you have to lose. And you could lose it at any point. That's how the world works. You know? I don't know. I just kind of felt like rambling. But if any of my friends are watching this, if anybody is watching this that's been, you know, kind of wondering where I've been at, quite frankly, I've been in my room on the edge of my bed practicing, putting in the hours that it takes to be great. And I'm not there yet, but I will be. I will be. I will be. And I know that. I don't know. Fucking yeah, it's been about 25 minutes now. I just felt like getting all that off my chest. I'm ready for some changes. And I know that those aren't going to come unless I reach out and grab them. It's just one step in front of the other, you know? It's so hard to let go of what you've known your entire life. You know, Springfield, this city, I've lived here my entire life. And I'm so tired of it. So tired. And I'm not gonna sit and fall for the trap of, you know, you have to be at some point you just gotta take the step. And that's where I'm at. I gotta go out and see some new things. Meet some new people. Play some new music. Make some money on the street. You know, when I'm living in my van, I don't have rent to pay. Sure, I don't have a shower or a bathroom. But, you know, you can get around those things. And I'm excited to find out what kind of person I'm going to be when I am truly out on the edge of everything that I'm capable of. You know, I just know I'm living like 10% of my potential here right now. Sure, I'm making good use of my time as far as doing what's important to me. I'm not gonna serve this complex machine that has just been thrown in my face since the day I was born. You have to get a job. You have to be able to support. Well, fuck, I don't know. Like the idea that you have to set yourself up so that you're gonna have a better life later. That's what it comes down to. But I want a better life now. While I'm alive, while I'm living right now, I want a better life. And I can have it. We all can have that, you know? You know, in these cities, I see so many people that are just so unhappy with their lives just because they don't live for anything else other than to live, to be able to live. Because we've adjusted our standards of living to be so incredibly extravagant compared to so much of the world. You know? So much of the world has so little and they get by. They wake up tomorrow and live another day. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them are happier than most of the people living here in these extravagant cities and apartments, because at the core of what they're doing, it's got to be so much more apparent of what truly matters to them because they have so little else to distract them from the heartbreaking beauty of the world that we live in, you know? But I'm not going to distract myself anymore with these visions of having nice things that, you know, you can get payments for. You know, as soon as you get a payment, boom, 18 months, bills you gotta pay, things you gotta take care of, you're locked in. Couldn't leave your job if you wanted to. How many people have got mounds of student loans that they're just chained to? And they're never going to be able to break free of those until it's all gone. And by that time, they're, you know, mid-40s, maybe 50s, honestly. You know? Human beings are capable of so much more than all this. Just ready for what the world is going to show me. On another note, if you're listening this far, once again, thanks. It's basically a podcast at this point. If you like listening to me talk about life, let me know. Maybe I'll do it again. I might not, but then again, if people like it, then yeah, for sure I'll do it again. If you're at the end of this video and you feel similarly, even if you're like not a musician or an artist, but you're just struggling with just the world, the reality of the world that we live in, the idea that you have to be unhappy at the core of what you're doing. You have to be unhappy to make it day to day, to support yourself. I think it's bullshit. I think it's such bullshit. You know, our government has successfully sterilized our population into believing that there's no other route than to make enough money to buy a new car. Not even buy a new car, but, you know, sign the contract that says that you're going to pay $250 a month to have this new car that they convinced you is better than your old car. When your old car runs just fine. I don't know, it's just shit like that, man. I've fallen for it. I fall for it all the time. You know, even with like music gear, you know, that it's almost like a primal instinct that is set in us that just wants us to take more for ourselves. We can never be happy with everything that we have. Materialism is what that boils down to. You know, like, I have, you know, two very excellent acoustic guitars that I love to play. And they sound great. They play great. But, you know, man, I wish I had a Martin guitar, you know. I mean, obviously, the desire to have nicer things isn't something that you can just tell to go away. But at this point, I realize that I don't need anything else for me to be happy because I've already figured out what makes me happy. and that's to play the guitar that I already have as much as possible. Accessing that feeling that music gives me, that's what makes me happy. A new car isn't going to make me happy. Buying a house isn't going to make me happy. Because I've had all these material possessions. I mean, I haven't had my own house, but I've had all these music gears and different things that I thought would be the source of my happiness, the pride of owning those things. I had them, and then I had to sell them, and I feel better now that I have less to think about. Because it's less about the item and more about the activity itself of playing guitar. That is really important to me. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point. What I was going to say earlier, I am working on a new album. Well, EP, more like it. It's going to be 4 or 5 songs. And it's just me playing my acoustic the same way I did my first EP, The Laundry Room. Because I made that when I was 18, late 18, maybe 19, I can't remember. No, I was definitely 18. And I just played the songs, recorded them one shot with a couple microphones, sang and played guitar at the same time. And I listened to those songs and I really feel and remember what I was writing about in those songs at the time. It comes out in the performance aspect of that kind of recording. And then later on, I decided to make like a full produced album, not an album, but like release, so to speak, where I'm playing the drums and the bass and the guitar and all this stuff. And I basically just kind of like locked myself in my room over the winter and just tracked this whole thing. And I really got lost in trying to make this music about making it good enough for other people. And in reality, like, if I were to play just the acoustic demos of those songs, they would come out with more feeling than how those recordings did. I mean, they sounded good. I spent a lot of time on them, but what I realized is that me personally, my music is represented the best when I'm singing it and I'm connected to my guitar, and that's it, man. That's it. That's the extension of my body that I'm gonna... well, anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up. It's getting kind of late. But yeah, once again, if you're struggling with any of these kind of thoughts, feel free to talk with me about it. I'd love to talk with you about it. Just to know that I'm not the only one that struggles with this kind of thing, I just look ahead and think of what kind of a future I would have if I decided to bunker down and do my work, save my money. All that could blow down in an instant, and then what am I left with? The same things that I have right now. Yep. So, yeah. Good night. Peace.